live? Well, good very morning. Very good morning to you. I'll get my words out right. A very good morning to you. I was just searching for one of my tablet stands. I suddenly realised I didn't have one. And it was, you know, dangerously close to the old, the iron. How are you? Did you have a good weekend and a week and all of that kind of stuff? Oh my goodness. Yeah, what a week. So, thank you very much for joining us this morning. This is my very first block of the month. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's not my pattern. Full credit to the amazing Lisa Chandler. Do you know this is the third or fourth time she's made this quilt? And she's very, very kindly sent us one of hers. This was the second one she ever made. So incredibly grateful to her for that, because there's no way that I would have had a whole one of those made for you. This is something that I've wanted to do for a while now. I've really wanted to do more than just raw edge applique. That's been my thing. I've really wanted to do it ever since, just. So let me find you all on Facebook. Where are you? So that's been the thing. And so today we start it. So if you have wanted to do anything like this before, it's a great chance to get involved. If you've been on the fence thinking about it, then, you know, why not just try the first block, see if it's for you. The very first block that we're going to do is this one here, is the clematis, however you want to say it. Should have checked with Inga. I don't know if she's in the warehouse or if she's here. Is it clematis or clematis? I can never remember. Anyway, whichever one it is, that's what we're doing. And it's absolutely beautiful. So let's see who we've got with us this morning. We've got Penny. 9 patch exploring whilst watching this morning. Love the quilt. Morning, Natasha. Very excited for this today. I think I need a lot of hand holding. Colette, I am here. And I have already made most of the mistakes so that you don't have to. I also, again, at this point, have to thank Lisa for being incredibly patient with me, because I've never done it before. And we had 2 choices, because I did think about giving this to Jane, who's done a lot of applique, and say, hey, Jane, can you do this? Or putting my big girl pants on and doing something that I've always wanted to do and learn with you and get all of those hints and tips and things out of the way so that you can absolutely learn with me and just see how in the space of just doing one block I've progressed so much already. But yeah, there is hand holding all the way along, do not worry. And the really nice thing is that the instructions, the original instructions that I've got, they're being changed for us. Again, thank you, Cass, for doing that. Is that month by month you'll get the instructions. And there'll be a complete set of instructions. So if there's one that you want to do for a cushion or a bag or anything like that, then you can. Or if you want to do the entire quilt, please do join us for this absolutely stunning Oriental Baltimore quilt. And it is just gorgeous. So every month, and I'm just going to move my machine out of the way so that you can see everything that you've got going on there. So we have got the maple top left. We've got the clematis. Oh, I might have to look. What have I got? Oh my gosh, I've got notes all over this. The instructions are 72 pages. Like, they're really and that's for the whole thing. We've broken it down to give you even more hand holding. So yeah, that one is your maple block on the end. And then the clematis, which is what we're starting with, is the middle one. And then chrysanthemum is this one here. I've spent hours finding fabrics for these that I just want, and then balancing them across the, it's just been beautiful. That is your Japanese iris block down the bottom, middle left. And then you have got the bamboo block. Fabulous, which is this one here in the middle, right center stage. And then what else have we got? Because you get all the templates and everything as well. The wisteria block is that one down there underneath the bamboo. So middle, bottom, beautiful. And then you've got the aster block, which is that one just here. I feel like we've missed a couple. Where are the other ones? What else have I got? I've missed this one on the end. Where is it? Next to the bamboo. The page is stuck together. Oh, the ginger block is down the bottom there. And this is the cherry blossom. So this is your cherry blossom and that's your ginger. Just fabulous. So they are all of the blocks that we're going to do. This is going to run anywhere between, well, you've got the 9 blocks, and then obviously we're going to do all the sashing and putting together. So, and the embroidery, well, all of these bits as well. So they give you like spring, summer, autumn, winter, which is fab. And that's where we're going with it. So do join us. We have got kits for you. So the way that it's going to work is each month you're going to get a pizza box. Stephen says ignore the ignore the reheating instructions on the bottom. You don't need those. Gosh, it was hot enough yesterday. So this is what you'll get, and we'll put a label as to what block it is on there so that you can then join them, because you don't put, so for this one that we're doing today here, these are going to go on right at the end. Okay, so you're going to have these these petals hanging about for a few months. So I want you to be organised. I'm going to help you organise yourself as well. And because you get different fabrics for every single block, and there will be a lot, we've been really generous with the fabric as well, so that you can, if you want to use a different colour somewhere else or something, then you can substitute it in if you want to do that. If you want to then do a practice run first and make a bag or a cushion or something, then you've got that to do as well. So that's where we're going with it. And yeah, I'm super excited to start. So, oh, Elizabeth said, classy dress, sweetie. You look fantastic. Thank you very much. I got to the stage where I thought I can either be honest with myself about the fact that this diet I'm going to do that always starts tomorrow hasn't happened for the last 3 years. So I may just as well buy clothes that fit me now rather than groaning when I open the wardrobe going, nothing fits. So thank you very much. Good morning. I'm hoping that my internet connection lasts all morning. So do we, Daryl. Good morning, Heather. Good morning, Karen. She says, wow, 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 wow. Good morning, Claire. Looking forward to this. Excellent. So as ever, the instructions are available individually. So you can, well, we will get them so that you can download them. That will be later on today, hopefully. Or is it tomorrow? It's an Australian holiday today. Isn't it funny? They actually take a day to celebrate our Queen. I mean, we don't bother, do we? We just go, hey, yeah, enjoy your Trooping of Colour. They have a day off for her birthday. Happy birthday, Madge. Rosemary, it's all being loaded as we go, so don't worry, it will be there. Rebecca, please don't make me spend any more money today. I can't help it. Oh, Helen's returned and ready. Have you been on a boat? I want to say you've been on a boat, Helen, just because I kind of feel like that's Steve's happy place. Lesandre, good morning, and Jan, good morning, and Susan, good morning, and Veda, good morning. Good morning, Val, good morning. Joan, good morning. Yes, good morning, lovely ladies. Sweating in Cyprus, says Heidi. I bet you're a bit hotter than we are here. Oh, Geraldine, thank you. Oh, in our neck of the woods. Why don't you come say hello? Oh, my goodness. Right. By the way, we are not too far off having 10,000 followers. So if you've got a friend that you think might be interested, I would love to nudge that up. That would be amazing. That would be so amazing. Right, okay, so you will get a pizza box minus pizza, calorie-free version of a pizza box, and in it, this is what you're gonna get, all right? Let's have a little look at some of this. So. You're going to get your embroidery threads. And then fat quarters, 2 different greens, your black for the background, And yeah, I have been told off by Lisa for doing something I shouldn't with that, and I'll tell you in a minute. You have got a lot of this blue, but you will use it in another block. So we've given you the fat quarter that you need now. And then you've got the front petals and the back petals in a slightly different colorway. So they are the fabrics in this month's box. Like I say, we've been very generous with the fabrics, so you don't have to worry in case you go wrong or you want to practice or anything like that. Or if you just want to use, you know, some of these colors elsewhere, it's very, very generous. And then you've got those in there as well. And then what I would really recommend, because we'll label these boxes for you as well so that you'll know which block it is, what I would recommend is keeping everything in that block. Now, if you want to get ahead and you want to buy all of the sashing, and we've got 3 different options for you for the sashing and the backing, then we've done a mega deal for you this morning. So if you want to do that, we've taken a big chunk off the price. We've thrown in a pair of curved embroidery scissors. You're going to need some lovely sharp scissors here, by the way. So have a look at that. So if you want to just get that fabric and get it stored and stashed, because some of these are going for reprints and won't be available for a few months. So what we've got is what we've got for now. By the time that we get towards the end of it, more will have been printed. But if you're one of these people that you want to just know that you've got it, then I totally understand that. Now, we thought that this, because of all the leaves and everything on the front, this would make lovely backing fabric. So we've put this on a super duper price for you. Check out the website, www.natashamakes.com. This is your backing fabrics. You are going to get 3 meters of this. Okay, this is a 51 by 51 inch quilt, and so you'll have a little bit left over, but you just, you know, you need to piece it in 2 pieces. Now, if you want to sash in your fans, cream and gold, you go for it. And of course, the beauty of having all Lisa Chandler fabrics is that, of course, they all work so beautifully together. So you've got an option of either the fans or the small florals, or your gum leaf flowers. And all of these will give that beautiful effect that you've got around there. What you probably can't see from the camera is that is actually a cream and gold fabric, which is why we've chosen these. These are the closest that we have to it. And Lisa's been involved all the way along with which fabrics to use and which fabrics to pick. So it's all got her seal of approval. And that's really important for me because, you know, she is the designer of the quilt. So, but it's also lovely. What I've noticed, because I tried to match the colours of the fabrics to the pictures that were in the instructions, the first set of instructions that I was sent, but the photos went with the first quilt that was ever made. And then when we got this one, I didn't realise this was actually the second reincarnation with it. And it's been fascinating for me to see that actually you can change the colours up a little bit, switch them up a little bit. They don't have to be exactly the same, and it's still going to look fantastic. And just little different eeks and tweaks to that has been really fab. So yeah, I'm really excited to get going with it, and I've got lots of tips and tricks and hints and things for you. If you're going for the mega bundle, then of course you're going to get this month's fabric as well. So that is everything. So you'll have, and we're going to throw in the scissors as well for you for free. They're going in there for free. So you'll have all of that. So there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1.25 meters of fabric in your threads. And then there's another 4.5 meters. So 5 3/4, nearly 6 meters of fabric in this bundle. And it's coming in well under 90 quid. So, and there's your scissors. So whether you go for that one or that one or that one, it's up to you. It's entirely up to you. But like I say, you won't need this yet. So store it, stash it, or just, you know, use it because it's incredible value. Because Gemma said that to me. She said, but what if people just buy it because it's amazing value for money? I went, well, then have really good value for money fabric. Like I'm not gonna say how and when you have to use your fabric. All right, that's not for me to say. But if you're buying it for this project, then great. That's going to work, an absolute treat. Right, okay, so as far as my iron is still on. Let's see, anybody? Oh gosh, voicemail. Don't they know? Don't we know? Valerie, look, looks like being another scary day for my bank manager, but the sun is sunning. The dogs are being fanned, so all's well with my world. Can't wait for the new block of the month to pop up on your website. It looks fab. The quilt is absolutely stunning. Oh, made my first diamond running, following diamond table running, following your guide for the wine seam. So chuffed with the results. Oh, Jane, I'm thrilled. Fabulous. Yeah, I'm not sure, Elizabeth, that I can read that one out. But anybody that's looking on these will have a little giggle to themselves. Right. Oh, we've got Camden Town here as well. Okay. Good morning, Laurie as well, and Steph. Hello, everyone. Right. Okay. Let's do this, as they say. Right. Quick drink. Get ready. Okay. For each kit, you will get a fat quarter of black fabric. This is your background fabric. So the first thing to say to you, and these will be in the instructions, is don't cut it like I did. And I didn't read the whole of the instructions. I just went straight for the block that I was doing, and that was wrong. I should have read the whole instructions first. But at that stage, we hadn't put together just the individual block instructions for you. So when you get the instructions, it will be really, really clear, because you will only have those instructions. So do not do as I say. With the help of Malcolm and constantly sewing, it did start to fray a little bit. So we've over-edged around the edge. So if mine looks a little bit mothy, it is a constant reminder to you that you will not cut this down. So see this? We're not even going to give you that template yet, so that you can't do what I did. All right, like I say, I've made all the mistakes so you don't have to. Got a proper slap on the wrist from Lisa. She's like, why did you go and do that? It's the first instruction. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't read that bit, did I? I went straight into the block that I was doing. She's like, Natasha. I'm like, I know. Do as I say, not as I do. So you will not do that. You will keep it, and in the very last episode, block that we do, we will cut them all down. So that is the first thing. Now, what I really wanted to show you, is how my leaves are progressing. Yes. So on this block, you've got all sorts of different things. We've got a border that comes around here. We've got leaves that that go on, and then we've got all sorts of petals and things. Now, some of these, that one goes on there, and that one on there. These are going to be underneath. If I get this one out. So this is my box. And what I've also realized as I've gone along, so yeah, a lot of you, dirty minds, guys, dirty minds. These are leaves, these are petals, and we're going to ruche them, and they will sit on top of there. But they will not go on until after we have put the whole quilt together. So you will need to make these 15 and put them to one side. I'll show you how to make them in a minute. So what I would say to you is, if you are new to sewing needle turn applique, do these bits first, okay? I obviously went in with the most obvious bit round the edge. It's fine, and I've learnt an awful lot. But these are not going to be as visible because they're going to have all of these over the top, all right? And these can be stitched down, they can stay up, they can do whatever they want. Okay, but so if I show you what it does on here, it gives you that background there, but it just means that they're there. All right, and then your other leaves will go over the top. And for each block, you get a template. Now, there are a few things that I am going to add onto the website today and tomorrow for you. The first is carbon paper. You're going to want to trace bits of this onto here. Okay, so get like a knitting needle or something blunt. If you've got one of the pens that looks like it's a biro with no ink in, then use that, or use an old biro with no ink in, and go over. You will not have to trace the whole thing. Find your quarters, quarter your fabric and lay it on there. You can see I've just marked here my quarter marks, and then they're marked on there. Now, what I then did was draw around mid-leaf around, and then I took that as the midpoint for my border here. Again, I'm going to show you how to do that in just one moment. So you're not going to have to draw everything on. Where there's a start and an end of a leaf, rather than drawing on the whole thing, just mark the start and the end of it. Okay, what I'm going to put together is a box of things that will help. So things like carbon paper. If you don't already have it, I'm going to put a kit together, and just little things. And as we go along, you'll hear me say, I'll put that in the box. I'll put that in the box. And so if you are brand new starting to this, they're just going to be little knick-knackery things that are going to help you on your journey. I've made a list as I've gone along of actually that would have helped me at this moment. All right, so that's what I'm going to suggest I do for you. Right, so first things first, let's then look at how to make these leaves. I keep calling them leaves, they're petals. All right. I won't tell you what Gemma thought they were. Rude. That's all I can say, rude. There are a few of you actually that were quite rude in what you thought it was. FYI, yeah. Now I'm going to fold this back by about 2.5 inches and just press it down. And then just there is a kind of right or wrong to the batik fabric, but it's not really right or wrong. It's just whichever side you prefer. Hey up, there goes Jane. So this is the template that you need, and this is in your pattern. So either get some template plastic, trace it out, pop that on the 2 raw edges there. And you want to trace around, leaving yourself a seam allowance. Okay. Having pens and pencils in various colours helps so that you can see. And we're going to sew on that line. And my top tip for you here would be shorten your stitch length. Okay. Shorten it because then you can get a better curve. And I'll show you some of the ones that haven't curved terribly well. And you might think, well, why didn't you just redo them, Natasha? And because for me, I know that when I look back at past quilts, actually I quite like the fact that I can see my journey. And yeah, there's always the perfectionist that wants everything to be absolutely spot on. But ultimately, to actually see your progression and see how far you've come in something is also pretty cool too. So that's what I'm going to do. I could, and I did think, once I realised that I'd sewn it all onto, that I needed to over edge my thing, I did think, should I restart it and redo it? And I just thought, you know what? It's life, isn't it? And there will be some of you that do exactly the same because you didn't read the full instructions either. But hopefully there won't be, because you'll have seen not to do that. So shorten your stitch backwards and forwards, and then stitching on the line like we do the tilde arms and legs on the line. And you're going to do a few stitches, needle down, turn. And you know what, there were a few that had slightly straighter bits than I wanted, and it's absolutely okay to go back in and restitch a bit if you're not happy with it. Like, nobody's ever going to know. Now, what I'm also sourcing for you, which is going to make turning through a lot of these leaves and things, and we will have by next month, hopefully, are forceps. For now, we've got to just find a way to turn them through using whatever we have to hand. But when you see Lisa turn these things through with a pair of forceps, you go, oh yeah, why don't I have those? And the beauty of this is that it's nature, and nature isn't always perfect. So actually, I love the fact that every single one of these is going to be different. And that's why I've used so many batiks in this as well. Because it just means that every single one is going to be different. Normally with a quilt pattern, you know, you have them and the thing is to emulate it and make it exactly the same. This isn't that. This is about having your own interpretation of it, because like I say, every bit of batik is different, and so that's just fabulous for me. I'm like, yeah, to have that. Something just did something on there. What's happening to your machine? So you're going to need 15 of these. These, I saved my last 3 to do with you. So yeah, right. I'm just going to show you this close up. There are little bits that if I was being really pernickety, I'd just come in and just maybe restitch around there. This one was probably my best one, my first one there. But you can see, you know, but if I'm really worried, I can go in and I can change it. It's okay. I won't bother. Yeah, they do mean spring, summer, autumn and winter. Yeah, they do. Someone said, what do they mean? The micro tip embroidery scissors are fab for snipping in, because you're going to want to snip in little bits. And it's no good, I can't leave that. So that's the really nice thing about this, is that the quilt can be left out all year, because it's an all year round kind of thing. It just seems to be, it's always for me, there's something about how I sew that means that the top right hand corner, I can't get it to curve nicely. It's just my thing, and I've noticed this in sewing these. Every single one I've gone wonky on that top corner, but that's just me. Now, you're going to cut out, leaving yourself that seam allowance around it. But that's what's going to give my quilt a little bit of extra charm, is that it's got that little bit, that little quirk that I have. The detailing in here on the leaves and on the petals is a stem stitch. And again, all of these stitches I've never done before. So I was like, right, this is really cool. But that little bit, save it, put it back in your box. All right. When you get to here, you're going to want to snip down, but not quite to that point, and do that with all of them. Okay. And then we'll turn them through. So this is where, if you've got a pair of forceps, bring them out. Again, things you might not have thought you would need this morning. If you've got a turning tool, oh Jane, I love you so much, thank you so much. And for those of you that don't know why I'm just expressing my undying love to Jane, it's because she just brought me a cup of tea. Love you anyway though, Jane. It's like, I know. Not in like a scary HR way, just like a good way. In a good way, yeah. Just to make that clear before we get any complaints. Okay, so use your turning tool or whatever, or just a chopstick to just ease out those edges, and then you can press them. Like I say, each one of mine obviously is going to be different, but give it a press. I would really, really, really recommend the clover iron. I suddenly realised halfway through pressing, I was like, why haven't I got my little iron out? What am I doing? When I was trying to press onto some freezer paper, and then I realised. And as we go along, I will give you my recommendations as to what made my life easier. You can obviously choose to do this however you wish. However you wish. You are probably all far better at applique than I am. Someone said, oh, I just don't have time to do this. And I said, but I really love it. I said, yeah, look, the fabric is not going to go off. It's going to be there for however long. This is not something that is going to go out of fashion. It's really classic and really beautiful. So if this is something that you love and that you can come to at any point, and this is going to be, for me, this is going to be my downtime. What this meant for me yesterday, the fact that this was my demo today, was that I took my little pizza box down to just south of Stratford with my family, and we went and had breakfast out as a family. Emily took her very hungry caterpillar blanket so she could sit on the grass, and we went out and had breakfast, and I could sit there. I mean, the food took over an hour to come, it took forever, but it just meant that it was really lovely. We could sit there, the kids could play, I could do this, and everyone was happy, and it meant that we had some time together, time out together. Whereas otherwise, if I was tied to a sewing machine, I wouldn't have been able to come out of just saying, oh, you guys go, I've got some work to do. So for me, this was the other reason that I wanted to make this one of my shows a month, was that actually I had a day's prep day where actually, you know, it could be spent wherever I wanted it to be. And then I spent the rest of the day in the garden, put up the bouncy castle for the kids. They've got a little mini bouncy castle. They bounced, the paddling pool came out, and I was able to be out there with them, stitch, 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 and it was all fine. So you're going to do that with those, okay? Pop your and again, if you want to pop this onto template plastic, then do. The other thing that I would really say to you, obviously use your paper scissors for these, and I would, if I was doing this again, this was a tip that I actually found this morning, and I'll talk to you more about it in a minute, but be really careful about how you cut out your templates. More on that in a minute. So then you'll do that for all of the flowers. So that's pretty easy, right? We can all do that bit. Cut round, turn through, jobs are good on that one. And then what you're going to want to do is it, look at me tidying as I go. People will be like, what's happened? What's happened? She's tidying. I know. We're going to put on some little stitches. Now, you can see from mine, oh look, I've got a little pile here to do. Yeah. You have a choice. Okay, and this is all stem stitch. So you can either do them right through the middle, you can do 3 if you want. I've just done single ones. I might mix that up a little bit. My top tip for you, okay, and you'll notice that these go about all over the shop because I didn't do this, and that's okay. Again, I'm going to have one with slightly wonky ones, and that will be the theme on that, is mark where you want it to go. Don't just freehand it. But what I forgot to put in my little pizza box when I went bimbling off for breakfast, that took about 4 hours, was to actually mark where I want these to go. So if I'm going to stitch this on, I'm going to put a mark on. And especially if you've not done, like me, I'd not done a stem stitch before. I was like, do I really need to? Yes, yes, yes. Mark it, mark it, mark it. And then you are going to get here it is, some thread. So this will be from your embroidery skein. Lisa says 2 strands. Take one and then just double it. And then you can use a smaller needle, and that's easier. How do you get it out? Separate one and then just pull it. Hold it there and pull it through. Just hold it and pull it through, just one at a time, and you'll be okay. And then put that to one side, preferably away from kittens. Honestly, the edge of my block would not have been quite so chewed had it not been for slightly amorous kittens. Oh, they're sewing machine needles. I'm not going to get very far with that, am I? No! I'm using a 10, size 10. These are what I use for my English paper piecing as well. I will pop one in your kit for you so that you can go. What I just need to check is, I don't know if I can just fit one strand through a 10. I don't know, I've never tried. I'd gone for more of with a thicker needle, but if you have needle threaders, no, see, that hasn't gone through. Let me just see if bear with me, let me just see if I can actually do this, because that would make life, no, that's not going to be big enough. Okay, so go with a bigger one than a 10. For when you stitch everything down, then that's going to be absolute, the 10 is fine, but obviously it's just a little bit too thick. A pack of needles for you to use with this will also be on the list to go in there. I've just ordered a whole load, so they will all go on. We're going to have on the website a section for the subscriptions, the subscription block of the months. Although we're not doing this as a subscription, it's, you know, you're joining us every month, aren't you, to do it? So in that, I will put up all of these things that I would really recommend. There you go, that's easier. So pop a knot in the end. It's the easiest way. Now you are going to, at the end of this, pop a great big Suffolk Puff, boom, right in the middle. of each flower. So these middle bits don't have to be perfect, okay? So just rest assured they don't have to be perfect at the base because you're not going to see them. All right. So let me see if I can pop this for it. So it's 2 strands, so it's just 1 strand doubled over. Or shall I just do it here? Is this easier here for you? Can you see this here? And I'm going to put my needle in to come up on that line. Okay. Then I'm going to go across, in and down. Now, this thread is either going to go above or below the line. For me, I'm going to keep it below the line. Just going to hold it out of the way there and then come up on that line in the middle. And that's it. Okay, so go forwards. I'm doing this big so you can see. You can do it smaller if you want and it will be neater. Come back through in the middle. Make sure, there we go, that is underneath. Go forwards. Come up again in the middle. So you're sort of doing a little back stitch on yourself. So forwards. Keep that out of the way. Come up through the middle. And just using that line as your target. That's where you're heading to. Okay. Always fun demoing at a funny old angle. There, your thumb out the way. Let that come up. Whee! Somewhere on that line. So again, the smaller you want to make these stitches, obviously the neater that they will be. And this is the decorative stitch on this one. Okay. And up. Through the middle there. And then this will be my last full stitch. Whoop. Again, sorry guys, funny angle for me. And then I just go forwards there. So that's your stitch. They're your stitches on the back. And I just sort of take them through one of those there. Take my needle through. And then if you want to just tie that off twice. Again, just make sure you're not catching the front of the fabric if you want to go through the fabric, otherwise just tie it off on one of those. There you go. And that is your stem stitch to go. And again, you can do that on the initial one that Lisa did, and in the instructions that I've got, there's just one line that goes up. On this quilt there are like 3 per petal, but again, it's entirely up to you. Now grab yourself some polyester thread. So I say polyester because polyester is high strength. All right, and then we're just going to gather along the base. So if you want to knot it, then knot it, or if you just want to do a couple of little stitches there just to hold it, then do. and then just along that base a few little stitches. Remember, this will not be seen because you're going to have a Suffolk Puff on there. Pull, and again I've doubled my needle, my thread on there, and just gather the base rather of that petal, and then you can go back to the beginning to gather it, but suddenly you've got shape to that petal. Okay, now here's the thing, my petals aren't perfect, but they are made. I can repress that to bring that out a little bit. And in the scheme of things, I'm happy with that. That'll do for me. I'm learning, okay? I'm learning. So I could have got Jane to have done this perfectly for you. And we have the quilt on the back to see, you know, when an expert does it, how fantastic it will look. And it will look great. But I also want you to see that actually a beginner can do it, and it can also look great too. Okay. So. That stitch is how you will decorate the leaves as well. So you can see, same stitch all the way through. Okay, and that's just giving that texture and that definition to the leaves. So that's it. That's in terms of stitching, like that's your decorative stitch, and you're fine. When it comes to the Suffolk Puff in the middle, in this one it's just a Suffolk Puff. In the original one, Lisa's put some lovely French knots through, but I would do that when we attach it, so you wouldn't need to worry about that until the end, and we can add those or not. It's entirely up to you. Okay, so they are the outer petals. Now let's look at the applique little petals. Okay, so we're going to swap our fabric out. I went for a slightly darker fabric. I looked at, when I was choosing fabrics, I looked at what Lisa had chosen, I looked at what was available to me, and then I also looked at, what a clematis, shock horror, what a clematis or clematis, I don't know if we've got, have we got a final say so on how to pronounce that? Karen, you'll know, you put some in your garden this weekend. What are we saying? What are we calling them? So what I would say is, yeah, this is the one with the pinky ready bits through, and there are some beautiful varieties that have just this colouring. So I was like, right, spot on, I'm happy with that. So let's see. Let's start from the beginning with these, and I want to show you what I was really unhappy about with my hearts. Got fluff all over them. Was that they weren't perfect. They were a bit lumpy and clumpy. So I went back to the drawing board and I did a bit of research, and I was like, right, how can I make these smoother? Because all I had done was use freezer paper for a template and turned over my edges, and that was fine, apart from what was happening was this. I don't know if you can see, but where I was turning it over and pressing it, I was turning over the whole edge, and so there's me going, but that wasn't the shape, that wasn't the shape, and that's what it should have been, and the shape it ended up being was that. Now that wasn't okay for me, and as I stitched those three down, I was like, right, I need to find a better way to do this. So the first thing that I did was make a smaller seam allowance and actually just go back in and be more careful as I did it. And yeah, do you know what? That's a better shape, right? That's a better shape. I'm still not quite there yet. And then I did something else, which has brought it more round to this. Okay, great. So we're starting to get there. And I'll show you what I did. So, as we can see, just doing single with freezer paper as a template just wasn't doing it. And then I saw somewhere that you can double up your freezer paper. And I was like, what now? Say what? So that's exactly what I did. And that is far sturdier. So check this out. Let's have a little look. Let me put all my needles back. If you don't have one of these needle threaders, get one. They just make life easier and you can just keep your needles in there. We've got them on the website. It's fab. That's the new one I didn't use. Let's put that one back in there. Okay. So, you don't have to use freezer paper. You can just use normal paper if you want, card, whatever, to use as a template. That's absolutely fine. A couple of things to bear in mind, and actually I'll do this with a leaf and show you. Okay, what leaves do I need to do? I need to do all of these. Haven't done any of these yet. The shiny side is what will adhere to your fabric. That's why freezer paper is just so great to use, because it's got an easy release, but it will also give you enough of a hold. And that's why, you know, they say to use it for your applique, as we like to call it. So if I pop that on there, let's take this leaf here, shall we? And then maybe that one. We'll take these 3 leaves. I'm going to use a Sharpie, which is a permanent pen. And I've got a fine tipped one here, okay, because I don't want to have to faff and get a light box out and all of that kind of ridiculousness, and to make sure that I've got this round the right way or flipped it or done this or done that. I'm like, no. Do you know what we're going to do? We're just going to do this shiny side up, which is exactly how we want it to be. It's exactly how it will go onto the fabric. And take your time. This is now the second time that I've drawn these, because I went away, did a little bit of research, did a little bit of watching. I was like, oh, okay. You don't need to draw in all of these. You don't need those yet. Okay. But this is one of the points. I will just say that it's going to be an L, which means just light green. If you take your time now and cut these out accurately and smoothly, then that is the other way that these things will be better. Okay, now all I've done, this is going to be a dark piece that comes up over there. So I've just gone a little bit underneath so that I can tuck it underneath. Now here, this leaf is going to sit underneath my clematis leaves. All right. If you are in any way, shape or form worried about your placement, just find a way to finish off that leaf. All right. This is going to be underneath stuff, so it doesn't matter what shape that ends up being. And that is going to be a dark fabric there. That is a light one. Okay. Get your other piece, and you're going to want to go sticky side up. If you've got a pressing sheet, a Teflon pressing sheet, bring it out now. If you don't, get yourself a piece of baking parchment paper, non-stick, all right, and use that. And here we go. Let it cool. Ooh, yeah, it's hot. Let it cool for a moment. And of course, because this is your Teflon sheet, it's just going to peel right off. Much like when we use things like Bondaweb and stuff like that, and Mistifuse. As soon as it's cool, it's going to peel and keep that adhesion. Now that is suddenly very, very sturdy. Get your paper scissors. See? Paper. Rough cut. And do use a big pair of scissors. Okay, this is my other thing to say to you. Use a big pair of scissors because that will give you a nice smooth cut. Move the paper, not your scissors. Because every time you get a little bit that isn't smooth, how can you hope to smooth your fabric over something that isn't smooth? And that was where I was going wrong with my first petals, was that I hadn't been careful about how I'd cut these. I just thought, oh well, I can needle turn it, it'll be fine. It's not always fine. Now this is so sturdy that if I do have a little bit that is a bit catchy, I can actually go in and smooth it out. So if my scissor skills aren't up to it, and that's okay too, I can actually go in, and now that is lovely and smooth all the way around, and I can take that little piece out. And I will do exactly the same here. So with these petals here for the outside, again, just making sure that I'm nice and smooth as I take these down. I've gone a little bit into that center so that I know there will be overlap. And for me, I've got a little nick in these scissors. And when that happens, that's when I'm getting those little bits that aren't smooth. So again, if I find those, especially on these, and you're going to be able to, if you want to just keep using this, you can reuse this lots and lots of time, because you might be thinking, oh gosh, Tasha, I don't want to go to that much effort 15 times. That's fine. Just use this template 15 times. You know, you can do that as well. Personally, I like each one of mine to be a little bit different. But that's it. So we've got a leaf and a petal to show you. Next thing you're going to need is a paintbrush. That is overkill. It's too big. Get yourself a little one. If you don't have one that size and you've only got one that size, cut it down. It doesn't matter, but it just needs to be just quite a fine little paintbrush. Now, are you all there? Are you all with me? I realise that this is completely different to what we normally do. So I'm just going to check in. Instructions, kits for the Baltimore are now available to purchase. Ooh, good. Okay. Did Cass send those across then? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Here we go. Lowe's major multitasking. What are we up to? We're doing the clematis or clematis middle block there. This is our new block of the month for Applique. So Jane's got her block of the month that she's doing, which is all patchwork and quilting, and we're doing an Applique one. So this is all Applique work, lots of different techniques. So it's a real learning curve for me. So that's what we're doing today. I am upping my game because it's something that I've always wanted to do. And actually, Lisa said to me this morning, she said, you know, Natasha, you can just demo the techniques. You don't have to make the whole quilt. And I said, but I really want to. I said, I know, and I really appreciate you saying that, but I do really want to. demo that I want to make the whole thing because I love the quilt and because I want my skills to improve, and there's only one way to do that. So I don't just preach it, I do it, and I do it wrong, and then I find the ways to do a better job for you so that you can then skip out the bit where I did it a bit wrong. All right. I'm stacking up all my end mugs so that nobody else steals them. So, right, let's try then one of these backgrounds and see what we can do. Shiny side goes onto the fabric, leaving yourself a seam allowance. Okay. What I've also learnt from Lisa is that it doesn't have to be a big seam allowance. There it is. Okay. Again, having things like the right scissors is just joyful and so helpful. This does not need to be a big seam allowance. Again, that was another mistake that I made, was leaving far too big of a seam allowance. And Lisa's like, nah, mate, that's just going to make life really difficult for you. Don't do it. So she has been absolutely fabulous with all of this. So just cut yourself, what's that? Yeah, it's about 1/4 inch, okay? And again, you've got plenty of fabric there in case you go wrong. These have been invaluable, these little snips. And you're going to snip on that to a couple of threads short of that point. And then around here, again, just to a couple of threads short. Ask me how I know. If you cut to the template, then you will get a thread stick out, okay? And I don't care how good you are at needle turn, applique, that thread is going to stick out. Okay, so this is the bit that is slightly different and that I hadn't really thought of doing. If you've got your tailor's awl, great. If you are going to go, when I sort it out, and again, keep an eye out on the website, I'll tell you on the shows when it's available, when it's ready, my box of applique knick-knackery that really helps, I will be putting in case you don't have one of these. You know the little cuticle pushers? Yeah, I've bought some of those to pop in because they are also really helpful. I'm going to start on a straightish bit. In my lid here, I've just put some of my starch savvy, I think it is. Could be best press, could be flatter when I get that in later on in the week. And I'm just going to paint that on. That's why you don't need a big, you can spray it, but then it just goes everywhere. Okay. And then using your fingers first, and then your little mini iron, just push that onto the template. The template is now robust enough because as soon as you look at that lovely curve there, as soon as you use anything wet with paper, of course it's going to dampen the paper, albeit very, very briefly. And for me, it was just a question of not doing too much. I know, a foreign concept. So then you can use your fingers, you can use your awl. And the other thing was having this, using this rather than your fingers. And then as soon as this is a little bit wet, it's more malleable. So you can, and if you want to hold this in your left hand and then push that across with the nose, then do that. And keep checking in with yourself, like, how's that looking? Beautifully smooth. Beautifully smooth. Which is a far cry from this one. Look, it's like, okay. Already, this is looking better. All right, so just in the course of 4 or 5 petals, I've already improved. And these are the ones underneath that you won't necessarily see a huge amount of. Right, so If it's still warm, use your stiletto, tailor's awl, whatever you've got, and use that to push across. And help hold it out of the way. But it's worth taking your time. Any quilt is an investment. And there we go. Use your finger, use your awl to get it how you want. Hold it there. And sweep on that point there, sweep your iron away, and then it will push it onto that curve. Let's check in again. Okay, so we've got ever such a small, let me show you here. Where are we? Here, okay. So we are beautifully smooth up until around here. Now you might be able to live with that, and that's absolutely fine. For those of you that can't, this isn't adhered onto the back here, it's just where you've pressed it on with starch spray. So if you're not happy, go back in, put a bit more starch spray on there, and reconfigure it until you are. And if that means lifting it off your pressing mat, repressing it round, double checking it before you put it on, or whatever that looks like for you, then do it. But also bear in mind, these are going to be underneath a whole load of other leaves, all right? So whatever's going to work for you. My dad always says, you know what will annoy you. So do it to the level that you find acceptable. It's not about anybody else. And you see that has already camera, come on, pick up this. That has already improved it. And it was a work of seconds. Okay. The other thing that was also a revelation for me was also the fact that I could iron with my left hand and use my awl with my right, should I wish. I was like, what? That's crazy talk. No, I can do it. Okay. So again, sweep that out from that middle bit out, and that will give you there, can you see a nice smooth curve there? And then you can go in around here. Now there are some products, and I don't know if we can get them in the UK. I need to look into this, where you can actually keep stuff in the middle. Is it polyfuse or something like that? I don't know, I saw Lisa using it. I was like, why do we not have that? Why do I not have that in my life? And in that case, you can actually just glue these down onto that, because that stays in. So I'll see if I can get us some of that. With all of these things, the other thing to kind of note and think about is that you don't have to hand stitch down any of this. You could blanket stitch the whole thing. And if you don't want to do the stem stitch, then that's absolutely okay too. Instead, what you can do is you can use your triple stitch on your machine to put that detailing on. You'd have to put some stitch and tear on the back. Now, the moment of truth, because that, ladies and gents, is my best curve, whoops, to date. Beautifully smooth, and that is a far, far cry from that. Can you see, just by making those few adjustments, how that has changed it? Okay, so that's what I would really invite you to think about. You know, just hang on. Just those few small things, because I was like, why can't I get that nice and curved? What am I doing wrong? So, to reiterate, double up your freezer paper. If you're not using freezer paper, use a card weight. Something like the 200 GSM 180 would do you. And then I would just fix that in place with a little bit of Soline glue pen, and then use that, and then you can remove that. So don't think you have to have freezer paper. Freezer paper is a nice to have, okay? And again, in this case you've seen, and then I can take that out and I can use that template again. I haven't put any water in there, but if I steam the front of it, that will release the adhesion on here, and then I can use it again, time and time again. So I can have that one template and reuse it a lot. I'm going to have to remake, aren't I, all of those, because they are not up to standard now. Oof, put it back in my box. This is what I keep thinking, put it back in my box. I'm going to clip those together as well. So this is what I promise you I will do with this project, is if I look at my work and I think that there must be a better way to do it, I will scout it out for you. Just looking for a clip, and show you that, because it's really easy when you've been doing something for years to be a bit like, oh yeah, it's really easy. So when I put together the accessories box, the bits that make life easier, this actually was really, really useful. This was what I used to just shave down my my applique piece. Let's look at the leaves. Okay, this is a light piece. It's going to be pretty similar to how we just did the heart, so we'll do it very quickly. Again, decide which side you want it all to be. And then trim around. And that's the other thing, you know, using different parts of your fabric. This is the other reason that I've given you a lot in there. Using different parts of the fabric will also give you a different look. Again, making that seam allowance not too big. So there it is. And now let's snip. So wherever there is a curve going in, concave, I'm going to be snipping, but not right up. I cannot stress this enough, not right up to the template. If you do that, again, ask me how I know. Then here, you can see I did it here. If you snip right up, you will get a situation where you will get a thread showing, and then look, I then have to earn here as well. it's not going to go smoothly round. Like, it's okay, and from afar you might not even notice it, and by the time you've stuck some you've sewn your petals over the top, you're not going to see it. But I want to make these smoother this time. Okay, I wasn't happy with those, and that's what sent me like to do some more inquiring, yeah, to find out how to make it better, because I want you all to have quilts that you love and are proud of. So the first thing that I did was to actually get my smaller iron out. Now round this curve here, there we go, and I think we're going to be okay. Yeah, everywhere else. Okay, so we've snipped, and then again we're going to go in and start on the straightest bit you've got. And again, this is where something like our pressing mats are really, really good, really, really good. And if you can't get in there with your iron nose, then get your all in to help. Haha, we're all in this together. There we go. And look at that curve already. That curve is better than any of the ones I've previously done. Look at that. Far better. Okay, so, and again, we're only a few leaves in. And just don't try and do too much at a time, which again is kind of foreign to me. But you see, this is it. I'm always tempted to try and go in with my finger. Don't. On that curve, sweep the nose out. Sweep it out. And again, if you want to check in, that curve is already better than the ones that I did last night. Okay, and again, you know, I knew I had a show deadline, and I'm not going to lie, I was rushing it a bit. But I also didn't know that I could double up my freezer paper at that point. Now, I'm going to sweep in. Don't burn my fingers. I'm going to sweep in round that way. And then just hold that and press that down. But having the double up freezer paper means that, so those previous ones that I didn't starch, I didn't know about that, and I didn't double up on the freezer paper, and you can just really see the difference. And I'm going to be far happier, I know, with these ones. And if I just flip it over to check, yeah, look, those curves are so much nicer than the other ones. So much nicer. So already we've made improvements. So for those of you that are going, this is going to be my first one, it's a bit scary, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it. Look how much I've improved just in 24 hours. It is amazing what you can do when you put your mind to it. Now, when you have top bits like this, if a little bit of it sticks out, you can trim it off. Shock horror. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to stick out. And again, if you've got a bit there that you don't like I have there, go back in, wet it again, and if you have to, fold it in over your nail or whatever it is. just do that. And if it takes a minute, fine, it takes a minute. You know, that is also okay. Now, it might be that you do that rule that says if you can't see it from a jumbo jet landing, doesn't matter, then great. You can do this really quickly. But if you are someone that wants it to withstand real close-up inspection, then I would invite you to look at doing something like this. You know, you've got a month to get this done, right? Even if you just did one a night, you'd soon get it done. There we go. And on that long straight stretch, just keep going. And that is a much better leaf. Wow, look at the curves on that. There's that little bit that I will go in and just readjust, but apart from that, I'm really happy with that. Let me show you that on a close-up. So I would readjust that little bit there, but by the time that I've readjusted that and brought that around, I am pretty happy with the curves on, pretty happy with the curves on that. And it just, that's just the difference with just a few little eeks and tweaks. So now we've actually got to put them on to onto our piece, right? And again, this is where you are going to want to get your chart copy paper out, carbon paper. We will get that listed on the website later for you. We'll put it available to buy individually, or I thought we had some, but I've just got to order some. Now I've got one of these ready to go. It's not my perfect one, but it'll be all right. We'll pop that there. Now, you'll use your placing from your template and you'll mark on where it needs to go. Obviously, I don't have much copy here, so you can then base this in place with a little bit of glue if you want, just to hold it there. And you know, if you've got your other pieces, just check that you are absolutely where you want them to be. Move that around a little bit there. There we go. And then we can start, oh, helps if I show you what we're doing. There we are. So that one's going to go on there. And then that means that that one can go there. And then my center, of course, you're not going to see because the other petals will be over the top and then there will be a Suffolk Puff in the middle. This stitch that we're now going to do is how we stitch down all of these, all right? And it's a nice easy stitch. Let me see. Here we go. Right. So again, you're going to want to knot the end or find a way to secure your end first of all. Let me just get it underway and then I'll show you what we're going to do. So, okay. We are going to come up just taking a thread of that end bit there. Okay, we are then going to go back in at that same point, but just behind it, go along and then up, almost through the crease. You see, along and up almost through the crease. And again, you can make these super neat. I don't know why I've got a double thread here. I don't need a double thread, but it's just better to show you with it. You will do just a single thread. In fact, this isn't even, I will unpick this because this isn't even the I'm just trying to do it with a thread that you can see. So you go in exactly next to it, just behind it, and then come up, if you can, on that crease, on that fabric fold, and out. And you will not see those stitches. So in, just behind, but level with it, and then up, almost, you see, there you go, there's my needle. I'm literally just catching it, and there we go. So you just can't see those stitches, and that's with the thread. I mean, I've done these were done really, really rapidly because I know they're not going to be seen that much. But just get a thread. I'm going to get a bundle of threads that are exactly the right colour, because that was the other thing that I realised I didn't actually have threads that were the right colour, but I really wasn't very good at this. So just come up right at the edge, down just next to it, and along and up. So underneath you're going along all the way around, okay? And that your thread is always traveling then on the underside where you can't see. So it's going to come up, catch a thread, and then go back down almost, I'd say almost in the same hole, absolutely next to it, but into your background, and then carry on all the way around. And that was how all of this got put on, all of the leaves. That's how everything will get stitched down onto here. Now let's look at how to do these bits. So for any of the branches, you want to cut them on a bias. So your bias is 45 degrees, remember. You can either go approximately, or you can go, here's my 45-degree line on my ruler. Let me cut myself a strip at 45 degrees. And you can absolutely do that. And cut it 7/8. Again, all of this. So because it's bias, it's going to be able to bend. And you want to fold one side over, press it if you want. I'm going to be really honest, so press it into the centre. I didn't with mine, because I really loved the waviness on the one that is behind me. And I love the fact that it's not uniform all the way around. I just folded this over with my needle and stitched it all the way around, and then folded over the other side and did it. So I did it like that, but you can also do it like this. If that sounds too scary for you, I totally understand. But again, the beauty of this is that everybody's going to be different, because everybody's going to be using that different bit of fabric. So press into the middle, a bit like as if you were making binding. Okay. And then fold the other side in. There, so you've got a really fine stem. And you can then decide how fine you want that to be. And if you want, I can get you little tiny applique pins so that you can pin it in place. But what I did was I took the middle of the template. So on this, there's another half on that template. I took the middle. So because I didn't have my copy paper, I had to cut my pattern. But so if this is your copy paper, you would take a line around the middle of your template and then put this over there. Now, all I did was I knew that this leaf here was going to form my top bit. So I just started, I marked off where that was on my template, and I started so that that base, those raw edges will sit under there. And then this will curve around as much as you need it to do. And just stitch down with the same stitch that we just used. And this is also going to be, so you can see on this template here, where are we? This is also going to do these coming down there. So that's going to be these coming down. Now it might be that I decide that I want those a little bit smaller. Fine. I can either cut them a bit thinner, or I can just turn that under. I'll probably just cut a slightly thinner bit. But you see, I can turn these. I've got to have two coming round there and there. And that's what that is going to allow you to do, because you've done it on the bias, and then stitch it down exactly how we've just done. And that is that. The Suffolk Puff we have shown before. In your box of things that are really useful, you are also going to have a piece of sandpaper, because that is a really fine grade sandpaper, because that is the best way to do it. Failing that, because again that arrives today as well, we will double up this instead. So this is how the Suffolk Puffs are going to be done for the middle. So again, like there's nothing to say that any of these things are right or are wrong. It's just choose the one that works for you. Again, so let me just double up on that. Ba, 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 ba. I'm really looking forward to all the different techniques. Honestly, Lisa is such a knowledge of all these different techniques. It's just fab. Just fab. Now, you will have the instructions on how to do this. Like I say, these instructions are being slightly redone for us. So this won't be it. Slightly redone for us to make it really manageable and step by step. We have done these Suffolk Puffs before, okay, and they are super duper easy. So you will have all of those on here. And again, getting myself a nice smooth circle. Okay. This will be out of your blues. Oh, I've managed to do both sticky sides together. Clever old me, hey? Clever old me. That doesn't work then, does it? Let's go with this then. Yeah, it really helps if you actually do this the right way. There's me. I've got this great way to show you, and I'll probably get it wrong. Paper, paper. And then these are transferable skills, so you can then decorate handbags and all sorts. Right, let's go again. So, shiny side down, leave enough room to cut big around it. Now, get yourself some thread. Knot one end. Or if you don't want to knot one end, just make sure that you just tie it off. So this isn't like a normal Suffolk Puff. This is a Lisa Suffolk Puff. And so you're going to go around the outside, and again, the smaller you make these, then the neater that circle is going to be. So and do make sure you knot it off securely. I think the last time I demoed this I hadn't. It was not my finest hour, because of course it undid as soon as I started trying to gather. But what this is going to do is turn that seam. Right. So finger and thumb in the middle there, pull in. That now gives you and again, making sure when you do this that your circle is nice and smooth. I didn't because we're rushing it, this won't be one that I use. And then press, 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 press. If you want to use steam or whatever you want to do, then do. And I would just finish that off. Like that. Now, go up here on that edge. So that's given you a seam allowance. And now what you're going to do is stitch a running stitch around that fold Come on, naughty camera. Okay, so in that fold, all around the edge, do a running stitch. Again, I'm rushing this, but you will do it really, really tiny. The smaller you do it, and the more actually on that fold. Again, you want to use your number 10 for this, a nice little needle. If you can do it actually on that fold, then so much the better, but otherwise just come in and go long and up. If you can't do it, it's generally because, like me, you had, and again, you want to use your polyester threads. I've just realised that I've got a cotton one here, but this is where you, anytime you're gathering, use a polyester. This is a cotton thread, so it's more likely to snap. That's why dressmakers use polyester, because it's a stronger thread. Okay, so we're coming round to where we started. And now you want to take out that inner template. Okay, and then when you pull that up, that will hopefully, what have I done there? I've just caught it. I've got one little sticking point there. I don't know why it's sticking. It's just caught. Oh, I've twisted it. Right, okay. I'll twist it from there. And as you pull that up, what that will do, you can start to see, it's a bit like your grandma's shower cap. Now, I'll go back round and pull that through, but you can just start to see what that will do. I'll show you this bit here. Is when that's, I mean, that's gone horribly wrong around there, but what I would say is start a fresh one as you come round. So did you see I didn't stop my needle and start again, and I should have done, because that's just cause it, and let's see, look, it'll snap. But you can see on the bit where it has gone right here, that fabric is folded over, and that's what will happen all the way around. You might take a couple of goes at this, it's okay, it's a skill, but again, don't do what I just did. Doesn't work. I thought it would, but it doesn't. Okay, but that will then all pull into the center, and it will look lovely. Again, you know, you're not expected to be an expert on these the first time that you do them, and do you know, I'm cross with myself because I did that last time, and I remember now doing it again. That's not how you should do it. So, but look, follow Lisa's instructions. They are all in there. And yeah, it's got itself caught. That's so annoying. Haha, there we go. There's one little bit where it hasn't happened because it's just, I got it caught. But have a play, you'll do it, and you'll get the effect. And then what Lisa's done with hers is she's put little French knots on the original, not on this one actually, but on the original there are little French knots in the middle of this, should you wish. Oh, there you go. No, I can do it. It wasn't lost, I was just being stupid. There we go. It'll all come into the middle like that. There we go. It just needed a bit of encouragement, that's all. And again, you can then just stitch that off. But it just gives you something pretty. And in that centerpiece there, you can yeah, you can put your little French knots. So there we go. That is all the techniques that you need to do that block. Okay, like I say, do not stitch these ones on yet unless you are happy to hand quilt the whole thing. If you want to hand quilt the whole thing, crack on, love. But if you don't, wait, because once it's quilted and done, that's when those will go on. They're going to go on as a very last thing. Okay, so just get to that stage where you've got the leaves down, where you've got the buds down, where you've got those down, that you've seen the first round of petals, but not the 3D petals. Don't stitch those down. And that's where you need to get to, ready for next month. Or just as and when you fancy doing it, you know. Maybe you just want to do a cushion and have it in your conservatory. I don't know, it's entirely up to you. But if you are joining me for the whole thing, do take a look at the offer we've got on the sashing and the binding and the backing, along with this month's fabric in there as well. So do take a look at that, or if you just want a cracking deal on a lot of fabric and some scissors, then go for it. I'm not here to judge, not here to judge. Did you also see, by the way, I don't want you missing out, the rainbow of caifs that I use. Now I use this to border and edge Emily's Hungry Caterpillar picnic blanket. But let me show you these because they're a bit scrummy. We've had all of our Aboriginal dots in. They're lovely as a textured plain. That's effectively what they turn out to be, but they're rather fabulous. And there were lots of calls for, can we have those please? So yeah, and also check out the website for the shock cottons. I know a lot of you have been waiting for the caif shock cottons. We will get them on the show and we will show them to you at some point, but that was a really long demo this morning for you. But I hope that sets you right. I will hold your hand, I promise, all the way through this, and until you get to your own version of this. Alrighty, we're back tomorrow. We are doing a quilter's cheat bag. Yeah, what's that all about? And if there are any ribbons left, we're going to have a little play with some of the velvet border ribbons. So do join me tomorrow. Thank you ever so much for your company and your patience. And again, a big thank you to Lisa for trusting me with my very novice hands with her quilt. It means a lot. Alrighty, have a fabulous rest of the day and I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Bye-bye.